But what's really like the light bulb moment went off for me a couple of years ago when I realized that life insurance also is an incredible enhancer for typical financial planning. It doesn't, and again, not everyone should be an entrepreneur because a lot of people would bankrupt themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
If you have control over your money, a lot of times that's a bad thing for some people. But life insurance as an and asset may not be used as that entrepreneurial warehouse of money, but it could just be used as an enhancer. And so we're going to be able to show that in a powerful way and bring in some experts. This is Better Wealth with Caleb Williams. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Better Wealth Podcast. I'm here with my good friend, Jason Rink. Welcome to Better Wealth Live.
I'm glad to be here. Good to be here in Denver at the Better Wealth House, HQ, however you have that. When I came down here the other day, there was, I don't know how many people were staying here. It was definitely filled with air mattresses and
a lot of
cots.
Energy.
Yes.
a lot of energy and vision. We had our end of the year planning, and we got a lot of things that we have going on in 2021. I'm very, very excited. I'll probably have Dan in here, and we'll talk about our 2021 goals. We're implementing Traction. We're getting the movie out. That's what we're going to talk about. We are implementing our and asset X-ray, and I'm really, really excited about that. And we're also making Unlimited better. So I'm just really, I'm pumped. But since we had the one and only in Denver, the movie producer himself, I would love to just go behind the scenes of the And Asset movie. I know that those of you that have listened to the show or have been clients of ours or been a huge fan of the And Asset, which, by the way, almost coming up to 9,000 copies out in the world.
Wow, that's a lot. So that's like double than when I think first started talking about this, like just a little over a year ago.
It's crazy how Amazon keeps buying them, and then we get purchases from our website every single day, and then now we have a lot of people from the industry buying quite a few in bulk. So it's just really humbling. But here's the quick call out for those of you that are avid fans. If you are a fan of the And Asset, if you have a personal story, if you want to be a part of this grassroots movement of helping us get this movie out in the world, please reach out. You can reach out to me at caleb@betterwealth.com. That's caleb@betterwealth.com. And the reason why this is important is I'm just looking for, I'm really open to whatever that looks like. But when this does come out, we want to make a splash.
Yeah.
And we also know that there's people that potentially could contribute to this film in a powerful way. So with that, Jason, why don't you just share a little bit about what's going on behind the scenes, what we've been working on, and this is going to just be a very fluid episode.
Yeah. So, first of all, when I came over here, I think every whiteboard was filled and large Post-it notes on the wall with ideas and, everything that you guys are planning for 2021 and getting super clear on vision. And then we spent the other night sitting down and the same thing happened on the kitchen table with papers scribbled on, written on. And, this whole process or trying to produce any kind of documentary, any kind of film, you can plan it and you can sort of outline it. You can figure out what you want to say, who you want to be in it. There's all that happens. And then you create it and you shoot it. And then with a documentary, especially, you end up making it in post-production a lot. So you can't really overthink some things like, well, how's it going to begin? Or, what soundbite is going to come from this person? You can do that somewhat, but a lot of it is okay, we prepare for the journey.
Yeah.
Then we just start rolling.
Yeah.
And, then we see what we have. Yeah. And so all of the planning is really useful. I'm glad we're doing it.
But you're telling me not to get too married to the...
Yeah, it's just the way that it's going to turn out is going to be different and always better. And right now, I think one of the struggles is how to not make a 3-hour movie because it's going to be so packed full of information and story.
Right.
But one thing we're really trying to do is create a film that an avid fan of the And Asset, somebody who's a true supporter of Better Wealth, what you guys are doing, something we give them that they could actually pass on to a friend or a loved one or a family member or have an at-home screening of it. And it would, in simple terms, break down the power of what's happening here and of the not, I don't want to say the product, it's more than that, but of the mindset
Yeah.
and the approach to money, that people would walk away really understanding things about money that they didn't understand, understanding things about the different types of tools that they can implement in their life to generate efficiency. And really for me, I know it's similar to what I wanted to do when I produced Banking with Life, which was
Yeah.
to take Nelson Nash's book and turn it into a visual, piece that people could watch in one sitting who
Yeah.
might not be reading the book. Trying to do that with your book, which I think is,
Yeah.
in my opinion, is the best book out there for somebody coming cold to the topic.
Yeah.
I just think it is.
So what's interesting, and you just heard Jason, not to get too attached to this outline, but very much starting with the hook. And we are living in one of the most uncertain times, whether it's taxation, whether it's government control, whether it's the volatility in the markets, whether it's the lack of control, whether, in my humble opinion, I think it's the biggest problem is lack of understanding the end in mind. It's like most people don't even know what they actually want. And so their money is like a tool that's not actually optimized to help them get what they want.
Yeah, in fact, most people don't really know what they want. I know that's something that
Yeah.
you guys spend a lot of time with, is to help people get clear on that.
Yeah.
A lot of other people in this industry, I think, just gloss over that. They just jump to the solution and not making sure.
Yeah.
It's like the old adage, if you put a ladder against a wall and you get to the top of the wall and you find out once you get to the top, you're climbing up the wrong wall. Like,
I feel like most people are like that. And
Yeah.
and a perfect example is looking at a metric like rate of return. And this is going to be one of the things that we're going to hit most hard in this movie, is like most people have in their brain one metric, which a lot of times it's rate of return, and they're avid about it. The problem is they wake up one day and realize they're on the wrong wall or wrong tree, wrong forest, because they were doing that one thing and being really religious about it, but that input that they were giving wasn't going to give them the output that they actually desire.
Yeah.
So one of the things, and you tell us if we should change our mindset here, but it's so interesting to me that I think a common theme is efficiency. Efficiency is one of those maybe non-super exciting things, but it is that element that helps everything else get better. And we're trying to figure out examples. And so if some example comes to your mind, please email me. And we're trying to figure out examples of what are things in our everyday life that helps with efficiency that you don't necessarily think of, but you're able to accomplish so much more. So an example is our cell phone. It's interesting. If this is my alarm clock,
right?
This is my watch. This is I don't really have many games, but this is my financial calculator.
It's your GPS.
My GPS.
Yep.
My email.
Now, frankly,
yeah.
on the new iPhone, I got the new iPhone, the most powerful video camera you could ever want. I mean,
Yep.
This thing is incredible. And so it's like, you've got actually a whole video production studio in here as well.
Right.
I remember when I was in film school, the first computer video production studio fit into two or three suitcases. It's like, that's actually in here already, along with the cameras. So yeah, this is like all of these tools packed into one.
Yeah.
And what is it? It's efficiency.
Yeah. And what's super interesting, we were talking a little bit about space last night, but didn't someone say that the technology in a cell phone is now all the technology is there to put the first person on the moon?
Yeah, I think it's like it's more powerful technology than was used to launch the Apollo or something like that.
So it's just one of those things where if you think about stacking a camera and an alarm clock and a nice camera, and like you think about all those things, and yet this is all in one, and we take it for granted. Everyone has one. Why? Because they're able to accomplish so much more. And so we're trying to figure out, okay, if we could get people to understand this, that we're really seeking the output, we're seeking results. If so-and-so tells me what they actually want, does it really matter what we do after that if it gets them that thing that they want? So a common thing that we're going to hit hard in this movie is so many people are investing in their 401k, so many people are investing in their IRA, so many people are doing something, which is okay. They say they want it to grow for retirement, but what they actually want is cash flow. Because why would you surrender control for a period of time? It's because you want it to grow so that you can tap into that asset for cash flow. And so if we know that, shouldn't we think about efficiency and say, okay, how can we make more cash flow? Or how can we retire earlier with the end in mind? That's just one example.
Yeah, and on that note, it's so the solution for people, sometimes people just think, I have to get as much money as possible into my 401k. The number that is when I'm ready to retire has to be as big as possible in that asset. Yeah. And it's like, wait a minute. No, that's actually not true.
Right.
In fact, you could be leaving a lot of money on the table because you're stacking all of that cash not in the most optimized or efficient tool. It could be a combination of things that's going to give you maximum efficiency for what? The outcome, which is what's the cash flow that you're going to draw off of that if what you're concerned about is retirement.
That's right.
So it's really powerful. And I think one thing that, we don't want to reveal too much about the movie, but one thing that I think has gotten really clear is recognizing that we need to focus and illustrate and help people to understand that there's more to the story than just accumulation.
Yes.
When they're trying to reach their financial goals.
Yeah, we're very much going to marry the and asset controlled compounding. Some people call it infinite banking. Like if you see yourself as your greatest asset, if you like this idea of controlling your money, if you like the idea of getting the government out of where you put your money, then obviously overfunded whole life insurance is an amazing place to store capital. It's not an investment. I think we're going to hit that pretty hard as well. Life insurance is not an investment, but it can optimize what you're doing and give you a place to store capital, and it's way more efficient than a savings account, and it's way more private and secure. So if we just stop there, we're talking to maybe 3% of the population, maybe not even. But what's really like the light bulb moment went off for me a couple of years ago when I realized that life insurance also is an incredible enhancer for typical financial planning. And again, not everyone should be an entrepreneur because a lot of people would bankrupt themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
If you have control over your money, a lot of times that's a bad thing for some people. But life insurance as an and asset may not be used as that entrepreneurial warehouse of money, but it could just be used as an enhancer. And so we're going to be able to show that in a powerful way and bring in some experts. It's going to be cool. It's going to be really cool.
Yeah. We're looking to, we're setting up some interviews with some really key people who can talk about the math, and the stuff that happens, under the hood.
That's right.
That makes this, this and asset, which is it looks like magic, when you really start to look at how powerful it looks like magic because compared to inefficient ways to generate wealth. So we're gonna dig into some of that with some experts, but then we're also talking to different people on the Better Wealth team, and then we're gonna go journey a little bit into your backstory. People have heard that a lot, but we're going to be traveling up to Stevens Point to where it all began. So we're going to revisit some old stomping grounds.
It's going to be good. We're going to interview my parents and some other people. I'm going to show him the chicken farm.
That's right. Everybody's heard about the chicken farm. We want to see the chicken farm. We're going to show you the chicken farm. We'll see if
it actually exists. I love it, man. I think it goes back, that cell phone example goes back so perfectly because you think of it as a magic bullet. If someone 100 years ago said, I'm going to have on something that can fit in your hand all the benefits that we use. I mean, this is my key too, by the way, to my car.
On.
It's crazy, right? But yet we just understand it. And so many times we are still using a one-dimensional tool for our money.
Right.
And I think if people understand it's not this magical investment, but by having it, everything gets easier. And if we can apply it to something like a cell phone, like a Swiss Army knife, I'm hoping someone watching this will be like, oh, this is an example of this is not super exciting, but this helps me accomplish or helps me be more efficient. Let us know because we might just have to use that example in this project.
Yeah. And something else I know that we're going to do is, recently you put out a video. It's been pretty popular where you took on some of the claims of Dave Ramsey.
That's right.
And, we're going to spend a little bit of time breaking down some things like that in this film as well. We're also going to talk about some of the things that he has to say about life insurance that isn't untrue. I mean, the thing is what I think many people don't understand is that the and asset is different than life insurance. it's a different breed of
Yeah.
product. And so
Yeah.
to be able to get people to understand that, sometimes I think about it this way, like when, as a Christian,
Yeah.
when you talk to somebody who's not a Christian and they talk to you about like their impression of
Yeah.
Christians or Jesus, and you're like, hey, that thing you're describing, that's actually not like Jesus at all. And
Yeah.
that's really not what a Christian's supposed to be. This is actually what it
Yeah.
is. They're looking at the wrong example.
Yeah.
And with life insurance, it's the same way. A lot of people are looking at something that isn't actually what you're talking about
Right.
in the end asset. And so we're trying to find a way to sort of
Acknowledge
that there are products out there that are not great for people.
Yeah, and it goes back to the reason life insurance has gotten a bad rap is so many people with the right mindset, I think, or right intentions, I should say, are trying to bash other things like investments. And as a result, they're saying what they're indirectly saying is this is better than your investment. And so it's just gone down the rabbit hole of like, okay, that might be true for the average mutual fund investor, but majority of people that actually know what they're doing can way outperform a life insurance policy.
Right.
So if that's the case, you're ripping me off because you're making this commission and you hate investments. And that's when I got started, that was very much how I saw the world. And then when I was started peeling back the layers, I'm like, okay, that's not at all what this is. And it's just been so good. It's just been so good to take a step back and actually see it from the lens of efficiency. And it's been quite the journey, man.
Well, and one thing I want to say, just acknowledge you, is that if we're successful, I think we're going to be successful in what we're creating here, but the amount of thought that you've put into breaking this all down and trying to see all of the different parts, and like there's just I think I can't think of somebody, I can think of very few people I know who have thought as long and hard and as critically about this concept as you. I just, and I've met a lot of people, and there's a lot of great people in this industry that have thought long and hard about this, but spending some time here at the Better Wealth House, you'll discover that
no need for caffeine, right?
Yeah, it's eat, sleep, and breathe how to bring this concept to the lives of as many people as possible. And it's inspiring, man. Like being a part of what you guys are doing and hanging out with you guys always is driving me to be more committed and intentional about what I'm doing. But that's also why I think we're going to be successful, because I think there's a lot of, Nelson Nash called this infinite, the infinite banking concept, what he taught. And when you start getting into the topic of money, it is pretty infinite, man.
Totally.
And when you start putting it powerfully along with the end asset, there's an infinite number of things and discoveries. And as you continue to go down this road, like you continue to find more and more interesting things and ways that, I don't know, money is just a powerful and misunderstood thing in our culture.
Yeah. So. It was neat because when we were planning this year, we looked back and we're coming up on $500 million of life insurance death benefit. And I just see the reason why I believe the and asset needs to be at the core is, yes, does it give back control? Yes, does it enhance cash flow? Yes, it does a lot of good things. But I'm telling you, if and when we're successful, America is going to change because of the legacy benefit. Like, think about it. Our humble beginning company almost controls $500 million of death benefit.
Yeah.
Think about what that's going to have on the generations to come. And we're just getting started.
Yeah, it's just the beginning. And
so,
and what that reminds me of too is, you sort of touched on this before, but something we've been talking about is wanting to tell like 100 stories of people who, the goal is to insure 1 million lives, right? But we are definitely looking for people who have a and asset Better Wealth story, who wants to share that story with us, possibly for us to include in some sort of content for this film or bonus content or whatever. But we want to start building up an arsenal of stories of how the and asset is benefiting people from peace of mind, from control, from liquidity, from being able to increase their, their returns, all those types of things. So, if you're out there and you think to yourself that you'd want to participate in some way, you'd want to give us that story, that would be really incredible. And we'll talk to you about how you can do that in a way that's really easy.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, thank you so much for listening and watching to another episode of the Better Wealth Podcast. Jason, thank you for being in the studio, being in Denver.
Yep. And I know we're trying to get this thing out in early 2021. So I'm not making a commitment yet because the scope of this thing could get beyond us,
right.
But our intention is to get this out in the first half of 2021. And I think that'll be great. So I'm sure we'll be talking about it more here in the future.
Stay tuned. Take care, guys.
Later.
Thank you so much for listening to the Better Wealth Podcast. It would mean the world to me if you could hit subscribe, leave a review, and share this with the people that you know and love.